Con, ESPN.
John, from the time you've been here, how do you feel like your corners have responded to your style and how you want them to cover, press man, things of that sort?
Really, really well. It's they're going to be challenged every play. They're challenged in practice. We're practicing against some of the best receivers in the league, and they take into it. And that's the style they want to play. If you can get good at that as an individual, then it's going to certainly help your career. And Coach Joseph has done a great job. The entire back end. From the first week of spring practice to where we are now. It's amazing, the progress that they've made.
Go to the right here, Coach Aubrey from the Bryan Eagle.
Yeah, we talk a lot about buy-in from the players, but the staff that you're working with is essentially the same that was here last year. It's exactly the same. What was the buy-in like from the coaches? I mean, what was your first meeting like with the defensive staff? How long did it take all of y'all to get on the same page? And what were those first few conversations like?
Well, it's a process, that will continue. The longer you've been together, the easier it is to go in and operate. But let me tell you, we got outstanding men that are on the staff, and they want to win. They want to be a big part of Texas A&M, and they want to be a big part of us doing things the right way, and that means winning. So, the buy-in there was phenomenal. And to be honest with you, the first 8 or 10 days that we met, we didn't talk any football. We talked philosophy. And we talked about how we're going to coach our guys, how what they can expect of us, what we're going to expect of them. And I think before you can move on with X's and O's, you got to get on the same page in terms of philosophy. And we spent a good bit of time with that. And like I said, all three of the guys that I'm working with on defense, we got a great room. The buy-in has been great. I couldn't ask for it to be any better.
Down front here, Gabe from Texags.
John, speaking specifically about Devontae Harris, going into his senior year, he's mentioned to us back in the spring, this is his kind of football. He's excited to be able to play this kind of football. How important is he as a senior and a vocal guy in the leadership department and, of course, as a cover guy?
Well, if you just say in our system, what do you have to be great? We'd start with two corners. And then we'd start with the two defensive ends. And then obviously you got to have a safety that can play. So if you're going to start with corners, you better have good corners, and you better have more than one. And as the season goes on, you better have more than two. You better have 3 or 4 guys that can play there. But he's a good starting place for us. And again, he's more comfortable in fall practice and in the first 3 days than he was the entire spring. He has grown tremendously since the end of spring practice. So we're excited about where he is in leadership and his ability to play.
We'll go to Kate Heropoulos, Dallas Morning News, then Brent.
Hey,
Suzanne.
Coach. I heard the other day that you said you watched every snap last season. And how fast did you do that when you took the job? Did you sit down and do it all at once? And maybe what were some of the top impressions that you took away from that?
Well, it took a little while because obviously, we were recruiting and doing some other things too. But, I did it probably over a course of 2 weeks, and we did it again, and we did it again, and we did it again. Before spring practice, and this is what you saw. You saw a field that had a lot of young talent, and not just young talent, but very good talent. And that's one of the reasons that to be quite honest with you, that I'm so optimistic because of the young talent. Now we got to grow and we got to mature. But that's the thing that I took away from the film. A lot of young talent, a lot of guys that played well at times. All we need to do is do it consistently.
And one of those guys, obviously, is Myles Garrett. He had 11.5 sacks, but only 3 of them were against SEC opponents. How will he have learned from last year to be more productive against the high-level teams and get through a full season?
Well, let me just say this. To come in and play that position as a true freshman, because of the physicality and the things that you have to do, what he did last year was, he had a tremendous year for a freshman. There's no doubt about it. Now, he's got to remain hungry, and he will. He's the kind of guy that's going to work on his skills daily. He's got to put the kind of effort in it that he needs to get better, and he will, because that's what he wants. I expect him to be a lot better. And whether it's SEC competition or who it's against, he will be better because he's more mature, he's stronger, he's bigger, he's faster. All those things are there. And I'll take this time to say, when we start talking about that growth, I look at where we were at the end of spring practice and the cycle that we had in the weight room during the off season. We're much stronger right now than we were at the end of spring practice. And that's, number one, our kids taking good coaching in the weight room and our weight staff doing a tremendous job.
Brent Zornman, Houston Chronicle, San Antonio Express News, then Suzanne.
That was along my line of questions in terms of, but about how good can both defensive ends be, obviously including Deshaun Hall
Yep.
in that.
And you throw Cunningham in there, who's another good defensive end. I would take those guys and play anywhere in the country, all three of them. And I said this earlier, and I don't think they mind me saying it. I think as a pair, that we've got two of the best defensive ends in college football. That's a pretty big statement, but I'm not afraid to make that statement after being with them during spring practice and where we are now.
Go to the left, Suzanne Halliburton, Austin American Statesman.
Hey, John, talking about philosophy, did you have to tweak some of yours, considering that your defense has to be complementary with an offense that oftentimes scores quickly, doesn't stay on the field a long time? I mean, did you have to tweak anything at all?
Not really, because what's happening in college football is that you're playing against offenses that play that way. Now we got the luxury, and I mean luxury, of practicing against an offense that plays that way. So I think you're better prepared, and we will be better prepared for some of the fast-paced offenses that we see because of the way we're practicing.
Coach, we'll go back far right, on the right side of those lights.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned that you were optimistic when you were watching film from last year, and obviously you probably felt that you could turn this defense into something more, if you will. But how much of a factor you picking or choosing Texas A&M is the fact that Texas A&M scores a lot of points with Coach Sumlin? They're able to get a lot of points and maybe help out your defense maybe a little more than maybe you have in the past.
Well, there's a lot of factors, and obviously, it's the commitment that you could see. Obviously, very impressed with Coach Sumlin, and I want to make this statement. I'm as excited as I can be to be a part of his staff and be a part of this Aggie family, and certainly that was a big part of it. Not the offense, but Coach Sumlin, and certainly when you look at the commitment, I had the opportunity to come over here and play in this stadium twice the last 3 years. And, I use the word classy, but classy fans, obviously impressed. And, I left here both times, not with the idea that I'd be coming here, but, if I ever had a chance to coach at Texas A&M, that'd be a great place to coach. And then you see the commitment that they've made in facilities, and the fact that they're, in the SEC, we got a lot going for us here. There's no question about that. Now, we got to get it done on the field. And I'll say this, I came here because I think you can win championships here. And you can win championships with Coach Sumlin and his staff. And I'm excited about being here.
Go to the front right, Olin Buchanan, Texags, and then Guy, Mr. Bailey.
John, when you were watching all that film and evaluating things, can you talk about any specifics that you saw that you said, okay, this is what we have to do differently, or this is things we have to address to get better in run defense?
No. Well, the thing, I didn't study the scheme as much as I did players. I didn't, because, and I don't mean it's wrong, okay, we got to go play, but the scheme that we're bringing in, that we installing now, is a scheme that's been tested in the SEC for a long time. So I didn't study scheme. It's about players and how they're going to fit. I'm looking at the players and what they're doing, and then thinking how they're going to fit in our scheme, where we're going to use this guy to get the most of his ability. So that was more about what we were watching the film.
We'll go front left, Greg Bailey, KTRK, down in Houston.
Hey, Coach, you said you got to have these corners to play pressure man. What does that allow you to do scheme-wise, philosophically, in the box in terms of bringing pressure, bringing things that are going to disrupt offensive attacks?
Well, football has changed a good bit, and obviously we've had to tweak things. But ultimately, we've got a simple philosophy. We're going to play the run with numbers, We're going to try to outnumber you in the box. We're going to try to get an unblocked player to the point of attack, and we're going to rush the passer with speed. And when you say that, then you better have corners that can handle those one-on-one situations, and that's the way we've tried to recruit. We're never going to sacrifice speed for size. We want to put as much speed on the field as we possibly can. And again, stop the run with numbers, rush the passer with speed.
Go far left, Robert Cessna, Brian Eagle.
That in mind, Coach. Riley Garner, is he 100% since he didn't play last year? Would he be a redshirt candidate?
No. We're anticipating right now getting him ready to play. And again, there's a lot of opportunities on the defense, special teams. We've got a little bit of depth at linebacker, when we get them, all out there. And certainly those guys have to be guys that are going to make a strong contribution to special teams as well as playing defense for us. But no, he is healthy. He's full tilt, and we anticipate him getting ready to play this year.
Go to the left, KO from Brian Broadcasting, then Sam Kahn from ESPN.
Hey, Coach, with the notoriety that your defenses have received over the years, and I'm not asking you to throw anybody under the bus, how far up has A&M come to meet the expectations that you were looking at so far?
Okay, I want to make sure I understand that question. Are you asking me to kind of give you an assessment of talent level or? Yeah. Well, let me say this, and I'll give you a little bit of the history. The third year, in the third year of me being the coordinator at Tennessee, we played for and won an SEC championship. The fourth year, we played for, won an SEC championship, and won a national championship. At LSU, the third year, we played for, won an SEC championship, and lost out in the national championship. So we are as talented right now as we were at Tennessee when I took over that job at Tennessee, or when I went to LSU and took over that job. So, we expect to play well, and we will be improved. There's no question about that. And it's not a lack of talent. We got a lot of work to do. And again, we got some talent in the right places that fit our scheme.
We'll get Sam to wrap us up here.
John, how do you feel about the depth and physical ability of your defensive tackles?
Well, we've added to that a little bit. Again, we're talking about, young guys. And when you're talking about young guys inside, it's even more physical inside than for the defensive ends. It's a position where, and we did the same thing last year at LSU. We ended up starting a true freshman last year that played the entire season. Sometimes you're in those situations, and sometimes you have to do that. But I feel very good about the depth. We got a couple guys that will play some tackle and play some in, but I think we've got good depth there.
Coach Chavis, thank you very much.